It's okay. So before this training, I asked the people to vote for the interesting topic. So finally, we get a response. People interested in some topic like how to design an e-learning course, how to promote your training, and effective training method. That is a highly interested topic. Other topic including how to create an effective training webinar, creative training technique, how to develop training material. So I try to cover some, if not all, of this topic in this short talk. So, but let me bear me to start with this concept of training. I think it's important to understand why training is important. So I think some of our trainer not really fully aware of how important the task you're doing, and there are many learner come to our training, and this training is very important to help our potential user to understand the technology, to know how to use the service, and successful training will lead to adoption of your project and make good impact of the project. And then many of the research infrastructure, and they really need new service for updating and building their ICT system, and their increasing need for individual reskill. So that's why people really come to our training, why training is so important. And EOSC also put focus on training, and training is highly mentioned and pushed by the project. And in a large scenario, and training market has been greatly increased in recent years, and also they are forecasting future few years will have another significant increase in training. So training become a very important activity. What training is, and training is different from teaching. It is a systematic process through which learner can gain knowledge and develop skill by instruction and practical activity, and result in improving performance. So the result of training should bring some change to help people to change, to improve their skills, or to gain some knowledge, or to change some attitude. Previously they have a different attitude. The result of your training should bring all this change. In normal people likely to stay in their comfort zone. Out of their comfort zone, they think is a danger zone. They do not like to step out of their comfort zone from their daily work, from their they normally follow their old way of doing things, but they are also in between of danger zone and comfort zone. There is a challenging zone. That's the area training can happen. So the purpose of training is take your student, take your learner out of their comfort zone and step into this challenge zone. If you can make change, that's the training should really bring. The outcome of the training should help the trainee have a better practical understanding of the key concept, and have confidently use what they have learned, and have some change of their behavior and the way of doing things, or change of their attitude or way of thinking things. So training, the goal of training is to really make people change. So I went to some EOSC-hub training. So my observation of our current training have some problem. or it's not problem. We have some space we can improve. And currently, most of the EOSC-hub training have very similar format. They start with presentation and then follow on some exercise. Sometimes they are not very well promoted. Sometimes only when the day I see the program, I notice that there's training, and there are also very similar method, so simple method for interaction. Only some Q&A session, ask whether do you have a question and what's that, and they normally simple teaching method, and it's still teaching centric. It's more on the teacher, a lecturer to give the talk and follow that way, and not well-studied learners' needs. Also, limited tracking of the training feedbacks, and not distinguished from teaching lecture, teaching talks. So that's some problems I identified from current EOSC-hub training. I think that's what I try to do through this talk. I think some simple technique can help to improve. Start from understand our learner. When our learner come to the classroom, what are they, who are they, and what are thinking, and they have a various motivation come to the class. They probably want to improve their knowledge, or they want to have a self-development, but sometimes they probably be forced by manager or founders to come to this training, so they are probably less motivated. But most of them, as an adult, they are very experienced, and so this is a rich resource for learning. So teaching method, if you including discussion, problem solving, will help a lot to better use their experience. And our learner want to see immediately benefit of learning, understand the big picture, and they're different from student from university, from school. Our learner, they are adult, they are learning is a problem centric, and they expect to answer our question. They are willingly to answer your question, to share the experience. So if you give them some voice and to participate in the learning process, they would be happy. And learning, if you have this interactive, that will help our learner to better to learn. And our learner also they learn what they need to know. So if this typical adult learner is different from our student from the classroom. This is Malcolm Knowles is a very well-known American educator. He suggests 4 principles for adult learner. It is arranged from 1984, a little bit old, but it's still applicable for today's training. If you're looking at the training adult learning series, still based on his principle. What is this principle about? You need to involve them into the planning and evaluation, involve the training process. The experience is what they learn. Is not content based. That they learn from doing things. They learn from their experience. And the adults are most interested in learning subjects that have immediately relevant impact on their jobs and personal life, something useful, something immediately can relevant to their daily life, daily work that is useful, and their problem centered is rather than content oriented. So some currently most effective training method is learning-centric training. That is to put focus on the learner itself rather than teaching just from one-way teaching. The key focus is to assist the participant in developing their own answer through applying tools, technique, using reference material, and tap into their own resource to reach solutions that work in training and on the job. So the principle is to link their own the participants' experience with the knowledge they newly learned from your course. So to have some set up some problem resolving scenario, allow them to develop the test analysis their idea, and then it's good for them to have some collaboration discussion. That also help. And this advantage of this approach is appeal to adult learning style, and then it can involve them to motivate them by allow them to control part of the training process. For trainer ourselves, actually, it's largely decrease the design and training time and can increase training transfer rate that we're talking at the beginning, can have a good, better result to change, to make people change. So what can we do? What can we bring to our training events? If you organize a training event, workshop, what we can do? We can, for example, and some cooperative activity. Cooperative learning involves small group working together. You can group people into small group and working together to achieve some learning task. You can present some use case. Also, probably this case bring by the participate ask them to bring their own data, bring their own use case, come to the class and to test your service and solution to see how whether it can work. You can add some role play activity, so they can step into the role and to understand the situation. A Q&A session, we know that very well. And games, you can add some games. I think some advanced creative training. They use like treasure hunting, ask people to search some files and using your tools. That goes very well. And competition, you can group people into groups and then to set up some small competition and brainstorming and ask people, let people to have a creativity thinking, and discussion is very useful. You can present the issue and then ask people to discuss and to bring to share their experience. Jigsaws, you can break people into groups, give each member a different task and bring groups back together and share and to see the final big picture. And presentation, you can give assignment to individual or to group, ask them to work on some assignment and then finally presenting to in your class. A learner center, you can break the classroom into different activity, and then after some times you can change different activity. And social media, don't forget to use your social media. There are a lot of tools available. You can immediately get feedback. So here are just some ideas you can use, and very simple, and let people talk, let people to share that. Become it's a very effective training method. And here are some examples already existing in some other community. Apart from lecture course, webinar, they organize different type of workshops. For example, what's it in it for me? It's a dedicated for research for learner perspective from their perspective to design the training, design the workshop. A carpentry workshop, like a carpentry, you take a piece of raw wood and you make it into a nice piece of work. So you can ask people to take their raw data, raw use case, and then to create service solution, result in some neatly organization and tidy data. A clinic workshop for data software service. They really help the user people to work on their own problem. What's the problem? How the difficulty challenging the use in using the software data, and train the trainer. Approach is to train your trainer. So your trainer can continue to train within their group, their community. So it can really spread your message in a large scale. World Coffee is a very simple, effective, flexible format for hosting large group dialogue. And other type, like summer school, we already familiar about it. Mozilla Study Group, this is a community type of study training. They peer the people and some peer the learner and teacher and to study. And e-learning is also come up for many advantage for e-learning. We have a slide later to cover some e-learning topic. And then how to develop training material, that is a topic people interested. So I have this one slide to cover, not cover everything, but mainly provide some tips. Step 1, you start with the thinking, what is the need? What's the need? Why this training is important? Why people come to your training? What's your training want to achieve? So write down your objective that you can achieve for the training, and then you start writing the evaluation, how to evaluate the success of your training, and at the beginning, and then based on these evaluation matrix to write down the answer, how you take your learner to achieve, to learn, to what step you can take your student to achieve the objective, to have a good training result. And then the list of these subjects that can become outline of training material. And now you can begin to search materials, anything you can fill up all this content. Don't forget to include the variation of approach, interactive method we mentioned before. You can, and group discussion, any case study, any activity. Consider these are typical used for some training events at the beginning of the training, especially you want to group your students into groups. It will be very helpful. You introduce 5-10 minutes this icebreaker activity. I ask people to introduce themselves. You can have all kinds of creative way of doing that. Then I put a link for this icebreaker. They're talking of the creativity idea, how to make this interesting creatively. So people from the beginning of training can become interesting and boost their interest and motivation of learning. Also help them for networking during the event. And finally, it will be good if you can work through, make a rehearsal with some colleagues. So here you can see I only give you very simple, just some suggestion. And in future course, we can cover more detail. We can have a dedicated course on how to develop training material. And we also provide this recommendation, as I mentioned before, is a best practice on developing training material. It's more focused on EOSC-hub training material. Next topic, how to promote your training when you get everything ready. Some hints, some tips help you to promote your trainings. First, choose a good day that works for your audience. Don't compete with a similar event, and send out this save the date message as early as possible, but not too early. People will forget also. Build your schedule agenda as early as possible and communicate to your audience, and avoid holiday and Fridays. And Tuesday and Thursday make good meeting days. That is some suggestion. Suggest Tuesday and Thursday, but I don't know whether it really works. But second, write an attractive and convincing message. So you consider who are your main target. So you write some convincing message to think from the audience point of view. What they always think, for audience, they all come to a training in their mind. They always think, what is it in it for me? So think from their point of view, and to write this message, and also you can provide some quote from other participants, or including some well-known, respected trainer will come, so make it attractive. Some message, one-line message, something very interesting, make a joke or picture visualization. So that's also help. And promoting time is not too late, or also not too early. And then it's recommend 3 weeks in advance for webinar and 4 months for event, at least for events. You give time for people to plan the travel, and send reminder is very helpful. You send reminder 1 week before and then 1 day before. It's very helpful. Finally, promote from the right communication channel. You can ask your joint organizer, speaker, attendees, partner project to help you to distribute your message. And you can promote at a conference using mailing list. It is recommended you keep the trainer come to your course. You keep a database for your trainer, so most likely they will come again in future similar course. You can build up your database, and you can use social media. I heard that it's very cheap just put a Google advertise on online, and then important consistent updates, including registration page. People, when they see it's updating some information continue happening, they say, it's real happened, so they will pay more attention to it. So that's some tips for promotion. Finally, I come to this topic for e-learning. I covered a very small aspect of this. Is a big topic again. We want to organize dedicated course on this topic later, but here e-learning become more and more important and popular. Especially it seems cheaper than training event. You do not need to let people travel. All this travel and organization is cost a lot, and then this e-learning can provide individual instruction and help. They have their own learning pace and to have self-learning, self-improvement, and easy to access from online. Get trained. People can get trained anytime, anywhere. And if you do not limit the number within your classroom, can have a really over a big number of people using your e-learning course, and you're able to link to various resources online. And then, but on the other hand, you need to aware there are some disadvantage for e-learning. For example, people do not have a high self-discipline, and they probably e-learning is a self-paced learning finally become no learning at all, and otherwise there are no face-to-face interaction, and this face-to-face interaction actually bring a lot to learning, especially for the adult learning. Again, there lack of input from trainer. Even you can even provide chat, provide a video, that's also limited. And then when a slow evolution, once you produce this training material, probably after a period of time it's already out of date, and then you need to do again. There's a lot of effort in put into it, and the transformation power is limited compared to face-to-face training. As we said, training, the aim of training is to change the behavior, change the thinking of people. So actually the face-to-face training can really make big power in that. And so, but some hints to have a good e-learning course, and some tips is first put a goal setting skill into practice, and as we said before, we really need to motivate the people, let them to willingly to learn. So it is if you if you can provide something like allow this learner to track to set up their learning goals, and then to track their skill they learned, so they will keep being motivated to learn. So develop research-based e-learning activity. So as adult learning is a more problem-driven, problem-solving. So if your learning process start with a question or problem that need to be resolved, for example, begin with the question, what is the best way to address this problem? How can I improve my productivity at work? So that will help people to search the answer for themselves. And then encourage online learning to evaluate the cognitions. An online learner may not even be aware that their belief and opinion are holding them back. So you can encourage them to evaluate their current cognition by challenging their assumption, asking some question to evaluate their limiting beliefs and perspectives. So that can help. Nextly, stress the importance of time management skill. So as we said, many people are not highly self-disciplined. If they do not have time for breakfast, they probably do not have room for their schedule, the training. So time management is very important. You can for example, can facilitate this by setting deadline for assignment and develop timed e-learning activity. For example, an e-learning simulation give online learning 10 minutes to complete 3 different tasks, something every second count, something like that. Incorporated a broad range of e-learning activity that is including video, including case study and different type, not just the content. So that will make it more interesting, attracting, developing personal learning paths. And that is the advantage of e-learning, and everyone you should allow them to choosing their interesting course, their interested their skill they want to learn. So this learning path can be customized to meet their own needs of learning. Incorporate online group collaboration activity. That is also quite important. When people discuss with a group, that make a lot of difference. Group member can get a chance to explore different perspectives and from their own knowledge and experience background. They can provide each other feedback and learn from each other's experience. So if you can including that in your training platform, that would be very helpful. And finally, invite online learning to step out of their comfort zone, and that is a very powerful e-learning experience. What you can do, for example, you can inviting them to host a webinar if they are afraid of public speak, and ask them to assess their performance and strengths and weakness, and then you can design something or ask them to do. So there's just some advice and some recommendation for developing e-learning course. And importantly, a learning management system is essential to develop our course. So here are some popular open source learning management system. And then Moodle is quite a well-known tool, so already have a large community support. And then Camilo, this one provide a mobile-friendly support and also provide a customized interface. And to Tara Learner, and they provide the learning plans, allow people to set up their learning plan, flexible authoring options, and Canvas have a powerful community behind the Canvas, and it is easy to use. You can set up personal support, and it's easy to plug in for third-party tools. OpenIDX, and they provide OpenIDX Studio, a lot of tools where you build your online training course, and they also have a very good community support. And importantly, how you choose for learning management system, you can consider several aspects. For example, whether it's scalable to support your community, whether it allow you to add rich media, for example, video, postcards, whether it can allow you to add assessment as part of your course. Can you issue certificate? Sometimes you want to do that. It's it become popular to give to issue certificate for your learner that can give them high motivation, come to you, continue to complete your course. And how can you brand your course in the way you choose? So when you choose which learning management system, you probably can consider in this for this question. What is the latest trend for e-learning? Now it's become in these few years become popular. So for the mobile learning and social and collaborative learning, and it's people to teach each other, and micro learning, for example, you send people this training material as a Twitter, as just a very small paragraph of information each day, and they can learn a little bit. Games is always popular, very welcome in the training. They bring a lot of fun, interesting, and improve tracking and tracking your learner is become more and more important to see how impact you make, how this training can bring the change. And MOOC, massive open online course, you can search for that. Become very, very popular and attract a lot of people. And they provide a lot of videos, very easy to follow, easy to learn, and it's also community based. And a virtual reality come into the scene. That's is the next few years. Probably this virtual reality will become more and more popular, and AI is also come into the area, and Google Whisper course is something special. Google provide. You can search for that. I'm not going into the detail. Finally, where to find more information. There are some good books teach about creativity training technique, and also talking about if you want to learn what your learner think about, read the adult learner, how to develop training material. There's a book about this one, and the learning something about e-learning. You can search for e-learning industry to provide a lot of resources about that. And in future, we think organize more webinar or invite people to come to give talk. Some topic, for example, creative thinking technology, also more focused on e-learning course, how to organize a summer school, and how to what's the idea for games and badge and certification. And also probably we consider some workshop in EOSC-hub a week, and then we'll have let the people really practice some new training technique and practice how to handle difficult situation in the classroom, how discuss topic like how to reduce training costs and so on and so forth. So that's the end of my talk.